What's up? What's up? It's time for Done Way Past Funny with your host, G.D. Fenderson. Join us as we take a look back at the early works of seasoned comedians before they were seasoned with this week's guest, Alvaro Gamboa. It's time to get down and get dope with Done Way Past Funny. Hi, welcome to Done Way Past Funny, where we look at the work of seasoned comedians from before they were seasoned. I am your host, G.D. Fenderson, certified forensic humorist at large, but I'm losing weight. Today's guest is a comedian from, now, I forgot already where he's from, but we'll find out. We'll find out together because I forgot already. I think it's New York, but I could be totally wrong. I'm like 98% sure it's New York, but it could be like Seattle, which is like New York without the smell. I'm sorry. New York may not have a smell. We'll discuss that also. But our guest today is Alvaro Gamboa. See, I said it like the Hispanics say it, because if I said it like my white people say it, it'd be Alvaro. No, Alvaro. Now I forgot. He corrected me. Now I don't, something. Fuck it. I'm bringing him in now. And this is not my usual introduction, but the truth is I forgot to write down my introduction so I could say it the same way every time. So, fuck it. Here's Alvaro Gamboa. How's it going?
Hey, GD, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure being here. To hell with the 30-minute pre-taping session we had where we broke down everything, right? Like,
That's
I'm
right.
from Seattle now. I didn't know this.
Oh, is it Seattle? Oh.
No,
No, that's New York, right?
man, that's hilarious. My name is Alvaro Gamboa. That's the Spanish pronunciation. I say Alvaro Gamboa because we're in America, damn it. We're gonna speak American.
Now, tell people a little bit more about yourself, how long you've been doing comedy, how they can stalk you on social media if you want them to stalk you, you know.
Yeah, for sure. You can follow me on all the socials at Alvaro Jokes Gamboa. Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, Yik Yak. Go ahead and like just follow all of those. You could follow me through Smoke Signals as well. I send those out weekly.
Now,
I
is
started
that what kind of smoke? Is that cigarette, vape, or the old-fashioned roll your own joint? What kind of
oh, the
smoke?
old fashioned baby. Yeah.
Okay.
What Smokey the Bear say? Only you can start a forest fire? Hell yeah, we could blaze that up. Something like that, right?
Yeah, so to let people know yeah, we just did that. So how long you been doing comedy and stuff like that?
Yeah, I've been doing comedy. I'm celebrating 10 years in October. Fun time. I've been having a blast all 10 years. I've done comedy in New York, just grinding it out, figuring it out. I feel like super grateful that I've gone to other places like LA to do some comedy, Fort Worth, Dallas, Texas, do some comedy. And I actually did comedy in my hometown of Miami, Florida. I just did a little quick week and a half there, which was super fun. I moved out of Miami, Florida, and into New York, and pursued the whole stand up bug, entertainment bug, acting bug, all that. I feel like that is the path.
Now, how old were you when you left Miami?
18.
Oh, okay. So you were there long enough to have like good memories of things like fruit and trees and front people's yards and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was before the pickleball courts invaded. That was before the run clubs invaded. Yeah,
Damn.
fond memories from childhood.
Yeah, because I used to live in Florida, and there was like it to me one of the beautiful things about Florida, maybe the only beautiful thing about Florida to me was the fact that you could walk down the street and see like bananas growing. You could walk down the street and
Yeah,
see coconuts growing. You could walk down the street and see citrus trees there, and it's just and they'd be in like in places where you could literally just walk over and like grab an orange and just keep
yeah,
on walking. To me, that's that. I'm surprised that people even that they even sold produce in stores because
yeah.
with the shit you could grow down there.
Exactly. Yeah. My aunt has like a bunch of fruit trees. She has like two different types of mango trees. She has two different types of avocado trees, an orange tree and a lime tree. And then lastly, she has a moringa tree. Moringa, which is like a super medicinal, super healing plant where you can take the seed, the leaves, all of it, and just shower in it. You know, like moringa could probably heal the whole world, I feel like.
Now is there I'm gonna put you on the spot here, not on purpose, but just because I'm ignorant. Is there like a popular name product out there that uses that we wouldn't recognize? Like, like some shampoo or some soap, or is this more like your grandma took it and make it and you know, do you know?
No, you could so there aren't any products that I know of at the moment, but what you could do is you could take the leaves, dehydrate them, put them into a powder and do that as like a capsule thing. They sell moringa capsules. You could take the powder, put it into a paste, rub it on any aches and pains and joints and stuff. You could take the seeds and grow another plant. But then if you don't want to do that because that's too labor intensive, you could take the seeds, roast them, and then eat them. And that is all like all healing properties of the moringa tree. Like, yeah, it's super good.
Now, how can is that spelled Marenga like it sounds, or
Moringa, moringa.
Moringa? Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
there goes my public school education.
By
Okay.
all means, yeah. Each one teach one, reach one.
Damn, that's there goes another education. No, I'm just teasing. I know that. So, okay, now one more thing before we get into the comedy, because when
Sure.
I used to, well, I love fruit and vegetables anyway, but I bought a mango from a Jamaican fruit vendor this was
Mm,
years ago, and I was at work. I was in my work van, and whenever I see a vendor on the side of the road, I would park my work van nearby so people could. It almost acts like a open for business sign, and so I would stop, and even if I just stopped to talk, I put my van up, and this time I stopped, put my van out, and I asked him. I bought two mangoes from him, but I said I don't have anything to eat these with, and he goes, "Oh, you can just bite it like you would an apple and eat the peel and everything." Now, first of all,
yup.
I didn't know if this Jamaican guy was like fucking with me. Like, let's see if this stupid American, he says, "No, man, you eat the whole thing, man. You just see and I didn't know. And
Hmm.
so I didn't know if he was fucking with me or not, but I tried it, and it was like, oh, hey, and I didn't die. I didn't have like indigestion. It was like, okay. And also, to be honest, I thought about when I did it, I went, well, I'm sure that chimpanzees will probably just bite it like this. Now I don't have a chimpanzee stomach, but we're not too far apart. We eat kind of like the same things. So I said, okay, basic science. The worst thing that should happen is I'll get diarrhea. I'll try it, and that's how I eat it. How did you eat mangoes growing up?
So, there are like certain ways you can eat it, right? Where you can like the way you just described it is the Caribbean way, the correct way to eat a mango, right? With your bare hands, peeling it like peeling it like a banana kind of thing. Or you could eat the skin. You could eat the skin too. Whole lot of
Yeah.
fiber. You will be sprinting, not walking, sprinting to the bathroom afterwards, though. So just be mindful of all your fiber intake. Outside of that, you can slice it up, chop it up. Sometimes, like when I'm slicing and chopping up mangoes for the family, I'll keep the seeds for my selfish self and just eat the seed mango with the pulp and stuff. I don't like that way specifically because of all the mango rinds that get stuck in your teeth.
Right.
Like, so each their own. Like if you are eating it with your hand, a Caribbean person will tell you to dip it into the ocean. That is an actual thing, not just promoted by Rihanna. But if you mix fresh fruit like mangoes and salt water, it does fantastic things. I'm told it opens your third eye. So if you want to go ahead and try that out, go for it. But I'm actually curious, GD, what part of Florida you said you were from or you lived
Oh
in?
no, we lived in Venice. So that was like
Okay,
that's like on the other coast. We're on the Gulf Coast.
Gulf Coast, yeah.
Miami's on the ocean coast, and we were on the Gulf side. And I was only there. I was there, man, but that's why I started doing comedy. I was only there for 6 months or so. I can't remember. My wife actually remembers how long it is. And also, she was down there longer than me because she got a job offer and she moved down to take the job. And we still had two houses in Maryland that had to be sold. So I stuck behind
Mm,
to sell the houses. And once the houses were sold, then I moved to Florida. So I think she was down there for like 3 or 4 months before I moved down. But that's where I got started. I got started in Venice in the McCurdy's Comedy Theater. So
nice, nice.
now,
Good to hear. Yeah.
so you've been doing comedy for 10 years. You moved, so you started doing
Mhm.
comedy what in New York then?
Yeah.
So now let me see here. What made you decide to do comedy? Was it a bet? Was you drunk or what made you do
I
decide?
was drunk. I was drunk off of attention. That's not for me. For me, like I've always had the comedy bug, right? The performer bug. When I was like little, the first performance I saw, the first like stand up I saw was Richard Pryor live in '79. I was hooked ever since. Like I've seen, like I remember like the trajectory of like so it was Richard Pryor live '79, Eddie Murphy, Delirious and Raw, or Raw and then Delirious, which is like blew my mind. I saw George Carlin, and then it wasn't until I saw George Lopez where I was like, this guy actually looks like me, and is saying the stuff that I'm thinking. I think I might have an opportunity in this.
Now, do you have brothers and sisters? Where are you in the pecking
Yes,
order?
I'm the second oldest. I'm the oldest boy out of a family of six.
Okay, so, well, being the oldest boy, then you actually wouldn't have been that starved for attention because you were special. You should have been. I mean,
Or
in my family, you'd have been special because my brother, my oldest brother, was the second born. He was the no, he was the oldest. He was the firstborn son, second child. And so my sister and my brother, they were like the favorites, because she was the firstborn
God,
and he
okay,
was the
okay.
firstborn son, And so were you treated like royalty in your family in the beginning before the others came
Uh,
along?
No. I'm actually a junior in my family, so now that I think of it, like
Ooh.
it actually no. I had the room underneath the stairs, like I had the Harry Potter room that was connected to the garage and the laundry, so I had Lint to keep me company. But like two things about my family, like my parents are actually both Geminis, so like their birthdays are a couple of days apart. They didn't raise children; they raised agents of chaos. Like it doesn't like we were competing for each other's attention, bro. Like it was so many of us, it didn't feel like we were a family. It felt like we are legion.
Okay, that's where I was digging at is where you felt in the pecking order because sometimes depending on where you're in the pecking order, you almost crave attention like food because you're being so ignored. And so that I didn't know if that's what drove you into wanting to do comedy because you're like so starved for attention because of the size of the clan in your family. Now, now in your family, who's the most difficult one to make laugh? For you to make laugh?
The most difficult person for me to make laugh.
Yeah. And if you hear them laugh, you know you did some good work because they don't.
You know what? It would actually have to be my grandma, my abuela. She's a very religious woman.
Mm-hmm.
Like my grandfather died when my mom was young, so like no one got to know him. But ever since then, she's been married to the Lord. Like her and Jesus have been
Oh,
like this. So
does
like
she know
with
Jesus
that in
has like
mind,
does she know Jesus has been sleeping around on her with like all these other nuns? He has like hundreds of wives.
my
Does she know
man, her
that?
and Jesus are on a first name basis, bro. If it's a polyamorous relationship, she is the HCIC, the head concubine in charge. All right, like that is there's no other way my grandma is living life. And so like with that in mind, like I did grow up in the church, I did grow up religious. So like my comedy, I try to like be as clean as possible or as like silly and clean as possible. I'm not always, successful in that route. But when I do
Right.
get my grandma going and if I do get a laugh or a chuckle out of her, I'm like, I got you, bitch. Got you now.
Now, does your grandmother say Jesus or does she say Jesus?
Jesús,
That's what.
Jesucristo.
Yeah. Okay. That's all I was just saying because I just said.
She doesn't just say that. She says Jesucristo, el Padre Espíritu Santo. Okay, get it right, GD. Get
Wait
it
a
right.
minute. Spirit, Jesus Christ, Son of God, Son of wait a minute.
No, Jesus Christ, the Holy Spirit,
Holy
Espíritu
Spirit. Okay.
Santo.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because
Where are my
Santo.
subtitles, GD? You said I was gonna have subtitles down here. Now,
No, no, I said Subway. I'm gonna put the Subway menu. Those titles.
oh God.
No, I have
all
to,
that,
no.
what's it called? That fake tuna, the imitation tuna they got over there.
Yeah, that's a matter of fact that well, technically, it's like when you see fake crab, but they spell it KRAB, so they can say it's not really, it's not CRAB, it's KRAB. Well, this is tuna,
Right.
like
Imitation
T.
food.
Yeah, this is TOONA, tuna. That's so. Now, um, the clip. Let's get to the clip. Tell people about the clip, where it was shot. A little background for.
Yeah, so this clip is actually probably 9 years old. Um, in terms of the clip, that was like my first ever comedy show in front of an actual live paying audience. That was my first year doing comedy. I have more tapes, I have more jokes since then, thankfully. But this was at the original old school stand up New York, which is unfortunately no longer around in that building. They have rebranded since into other locations. But I did film that as like kind of like a showcase of my jokes from my first year of comedy.
Okay. We're going to play the first part of now. Just so the audience knows, this is actually a 9-minute segment, but we're chopped up into roughly 3-minute segments. So basically, because as a general rule of thumb, we like to show the oldest stuff we can find from comedians because it gives people hope, and also it gives us something to talk about, how he's progressed since then, what he would do differently now, or if there's any jokes from back then that he actually can still do, and how you would change them. So let's watch the first part.
Give it up for yourselves, guys. Give it up for Bob. Awesome. Guys, I appreciate you coming out in this fucking cold weather. I gotta be honest with you, my balls froze and shrank. And they broke off as I was coming here. I had like wiggling out my pants like, I got shit. I got some stand-up to get the fuck out of here. So, guys, man, thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. Any Spanish people in here, guys? Any Spanish people? Yeah. All right, give it up for like all 6, 7 of us. That's awesome. Guys, I'm Spanish myself. I'm half Nicaraguan. I'm half Colombian. And I don't know why when I tell them this, people automatically assume all these stereotypes. So you know what? I'm going to clear the air now. The stereotype is fucking true. I am great with kids. So guys, you know, I tell people I'm Spanish and they're automatically assuming, oh wow, you're Spanish, that's your style, your look, it's so exotic. So exotic. You know who says that? Fucking white people say that shit. I'm serious, man. You know, like so exotic, it's so disrespectful, it's such a derogatory term the way they say it. And I'm thinking, why? So I have to, you know, pick up these context clues and such. So I realized exotic is like code word for ethnic. Like, oh, he's exotic? Why don't you show him the plumbing downstairs, sweetie? Or, ooh, sweetie, that's an exotic area. We don't want to get stuck there after 10 o'clock. Or my personal favorite, oh, he's exotic, he'll be taking your order today? Man, it's, you know, it's so disrespectful. It sounds like you want me to make clay pots on commercials, or, you know, you want me to be on the cover of National Geographic hunting gazelles. So guys, I'm Spanish, and when I tell people this, they automatically assume that I'm going to every Independence Day possible. I'm going to the Puerto Rican Day Parade, the Dominican Day Parade, the Costa Rican Day Parade, the Costa Rican Day Parade, the Colombian Day Parade. And I'm like, whoa, hold up, that's not the fucking case. That's exhausting. Do you know how much energy it takes to beg for your life? I am never going back. And stop and think about it for a second. The Dominican Day Parade? Seriously? Why the Dominicans? Who likes the Dominicans? Nobody likes the Dominicans. The Dominicans don't even like the Dominicans. No joke, guys. You ever seen 2 Dominicans say goodbye to each other? Like, okay, está bien, hasta luego. As soon as they turn around, diablo, este fucking puto. I swear to God. All right, cool. We know our curses, and I know my audience. This is awesome. The fun part about that was I did that in a room full of Dominicans, and they were like, hey. Yeah, tiene razón. He's right. He's fucking right. Man.
Now,
GD, we could all collectively cringe together, please and thank you.
and look, it takes balls to do it. Actually, it takes balls to do comedy, but it takes a lot more balls to look at your old comedy. And so I commend you
Yeah.
for it. I commend you for it. Most comedians, that's why I'm only at episode 100, because a lot of guys, they'll say, like, yeah, I want to do this show. And I said, great, show me the older stuff you got to like, and look at it. Yeah, we'll look at it together. Like,
We gotta bury that. We're burying this.
you're right. Yeah. And I'm like, look, I went through and I actually put my very first set, as my first episode. So just so people get an idea, what we're doing. My very first set is what we started with. The first episodes of my first set, and talk about cringeworthy, I mean, so yeah, you just have to be able to look at yourself and analyze yourself dispassionately,
Mm-hmm.
So, now when you did that set, you said it was kind of like a best of your first year or something.
Yeah, I was like that was all I had for that year, and I wanted to showcase it, put up shows and all that.
Cool. Now, so how much of that stuff was like from the very okay? Do you remember the first time you took the stage as a comedian?
Yeah, that in preparation, um, for like comedy, I ended up actually like hitting up mics and taking a class. I ended up taking a stand-up comedy class,
Okay.
and that was super helpful in like networking and joke structure and just getting like a comedy buddy to hit mics with. So I do remember those fond first couple of months.
So, when you were doing the comedy in the beginning, did you have like a routine that you would get into to start to psych yourself up for a show? And is it the same routine that you use now, or basically how do you prep differently for a show now than you did back 10,
Oh
8
yeah,
years
so
ago?
the prep work, in terms of the prep work, I did not have any. I didn't believe any in the past. It wasn't a thing. You just went up and you were your authentic, natural self, which is baloney, people. It is actually baloney. Don't believe it. Now I found through life, I found breathwork practices, meditation practices that actually like help to ground me, center me, come into communion with the divine Holy Spirit, whatever other ethereal terms you want to come up with. But yeah, there is like a method to the madness. Like now I don't feel comfortable on stage unless I've gotten a sweat earlier in the day,
Right.
whether that be working out, lifting weights, pumping iron, going for a run, some sprints, jump rope, basketball. These are like all the things that I do physically to like wear out the body. So that way, like if and when I do hit the stage, like there are still nerves. There's always going to be nerves and adrenaline. I found people that say they don't get nervous means that they do get nervous, but they don't call it that. They more or less they utilize that energy in a different way, right? So there is like that actual physical exertion that needs to happen. Funny enough, before that set, I actually did some push-ups, which was mentioned, and like before that, I actually like remember doing those push-ups
Hmm.
like off stage to be able to like get out of that anxious energy, right? But now it's like even before today, like I got up, hit the weights, pump that iron. But then there's also like outside of the physical aspect, there is the mental aspect of like calming those voices that live in
Yes.
your head rent free. Also, like being able to center yourself and be in alignment with not just the material, but the energy that you want to portray and the performance overall. So all of these things do help in the prep work because I feel like if I do that, I'm more present and I'm more on my Ram Dass flow of being here now.
Right.
As opposed to if I don't do that, then I'm like in my head, I'm anxious, my energy doesn't know where to go. I don't have a proper energy outlet for that. And I
Right.
end up having like energy leaks and things of that nature.
Now, how
Helps
did
me riff
you
better, helps me be in the present, all that stuff.
Now, how
Sorry,
did
GD, what
you
were you saying?
also how did you go about learning that will help you? Because not, I mean, I have a slight. I mean, I agree with you about the nerves and stuff. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to mention this guy by name. He's a famous manager or agent. He's got like a lot of. If I mention his clients, you'd be like, "Holy fuck!" But this guy looked at one of my sets. He did not like the fact that I said in my set in the very beginning, I said, look, I'm nervous. You see, but it's actually, I'm setting something up. Okay, I'm actually, it's a setup, and it gets a great laugh as an opening line. It gets that it's never failed. Okay, but I start off by saying I'm nervous, and he goes, "You never say you're nervous." I'm like, you know something? I'm not you. I'm a humorist, and I also tell the truth. Yeah, I'm nervous. Every single time I take the stage, I'm nervous. And the nervousness does not go away until I get the first laugh. When I get my first laugh, then it's like, okay, we got this. Even
Yep.
though when each year, like, so this is my 10th year also. It'll be my 10th year in September.
Congrats.
Thanks.
Congrats.
And each year, for 1 year, I work on a new introduction. So well, every year I have a new introduction that I work on. It's like my opening joke to help me relax.
Mm-hmm.
And matter of fact, I think the last one. I'm trying to think here because I'm doing a couple of different. I have different openings for different shows, so I do different types of shows.
Right.
But so the one about me being nervous, I'm reluctant to. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and say it because nobody. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say it because I don't think I use that one very often anymore. Yeah, because I moved on to the next one. So, but I'm nervous. I'm very nervous. I can only do this because of my wife. My wife is the one who gets me through all this. She's very supportive, and so my wife Penny tells me, when I get nervous, is don't worry about it. The audience is there to have a good time, and then Penny tells me that the audience doesn't know your material. So if you make a mistake, just lean into it. And then I said, so for example, my wife's name is Carol, not Penny. And if I didn't correct myself for the rest of the night, you'd have thought Penny. And so, as general, the audience loves that because it's like the misdirect. And I usually tell it more smoothly because I've rehearsed it as opposed off the top of my head. But that's basically it. And he did not like that. But even though I got a great laugh from the audience, he didn't like the fact that I started by saying I'm nervous. It's like,
I get that.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
like in terms of like the opener is super important.
yeah.
Introducing yourself, I had to learn, introducing yourself and addressing the room, reading the room, being
Yes.
transparent, being vulnerable, like expressing what you're feeling and thinking. I feel like these are all like important things for openers. So like, to each their own. There is no one correct way to do comedy. Like there is only really two rules in comedy. Rule number one, is it funny? And rule number two, there is no rules. Like toss out everything else. If anyone tells you anything outside of what rules are, like outside of is it funny, like don't believe it, because I've seen people, go far by doing everything but being a good person, right? Like,
Oh, yeah.
so there is
I have an
the
opening bit
opening.
now about my mom being raped, and people when I
There you go.
mention other comedians, they're like, "Oh, that's I don't know." I said I tell it in a way that the audience is along for the ride, and before they realize it, they're laughing, and they're laughing at the fact that my mother was raped. But they're not laughing at the fact that she was raped, but the way I'm doing it, they get it. And then I've had women come up to me after that particular set and thank me, because my whole point is that something bad has happened to all of us. And are we going to let that bad experience define us, or are we going to rise above that bad experience and make something better of ourselves because of it or from it? And that's the premise of my entire comedy thing. That's like
There you
the
are.
subtext. That's the subtext of everything I do in comedy. We've all had bad shit happen to us. It doesn't need to define us. We can be better than the bad. We can be the good.
Exactly right. It doesn't define us.
Right. So I get
Amen
you.
to that.
Now, have you done any bilingual shows? Because obviously you corrected my Spanish. Can you do a bilingual show?
Yeah.
I
Funny
take
you
that as
mentioned that.
I take that as a yes. No.
Funny you mentioned that. I actually have been wanting to explore Spanish comedy more. So I did do my first Spanish language comedy show in front of Spanish civilians about 2 weeks ago.
Great. All
And
right.
I fucking suck, GD. I'll be very honest. You know, I
Did you
fucking blew
record
it.
it? Did you record it? No.
I did. I actually did for some stupid reason. I don't know why. It was so bad. I did everything wrong. I stopped. I started. I glitched out. I stammered. I stuttered. I had a brain fart in Spanish. Do you know you can have a brain fart in multiple languages? I had people. I had people after the. I headlined, so I closed it out on a very bad performance, which is comedy no-no. That's rule number 3 in comedies. End on a bang, not a flat flop, right? Like.
Right.
But like the thing about it was that after the show, everyone's hanging, right? Everyone's drinking, smoking, conversing. No one wanted to associate themselves with me, bro. I had the
Ooh.
stench of death on me. You know when you're gone and no one can look at you in the eyes?
Actually,
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
time
know.
for you to
I've
go
never had,
home, buddy.
honestly. Okay, I've never had that, so I don't know. I don't know that. Honestly, I don't know what that's like. I don't
You never had the
know.
stench of death on you? Oh, it's terrifying,
No.
brother. It is not fun. I ran home faster than Speedy Gonzalez. That's about the only Spanish thing I was proud of that day, probably. Like it was bad. But the comics that were there and I've seen them afterward, they're like, "Hey, you're still alive. Hey, that's awesome. The fact of the matter is you did it. You know, you might have conflicted some self-harm on you that night before, during, and after, but we're here. We're alive now and let's do it again." So I do want to
But in
practice
English.
more Spanish. Yeah, I do want to practice more Spanish comedy. I've been doing English comedy now for 10 years, and like I feel like that's part of the reason why I got into comedy in the first place is to, you know, share my stories and voice my opinions. I feel like, you know, all of us as comedians, specifically us being in the ethnic markets, in the
Yes. Yeah.
secondary and tertiary markets, which is
Yeah.
coded for Black and Brown. Like we all
Yeah.
have a story to share. We all have a voice, and it deserves to be told. It deserves to be heard. We have a story. It deserves to be. It's earned the right to be told. And so, like, I feel like there is a market for us in the fact that like these stories aren't being told. There are audiences thirsty for, craving and yearning for the ability to see themselves in someone on stage, which is how I got into comedy in the first place. You know, I
Yeah.
think that's all important. Um, to like to summarize, I would love to do more Spanish comedy, but not that bullshit that I did that show. That definitely won't be happening ever again.
Hi, I'm GD Fenderson, certified forensic humorist and host of Done Way Past Funny. You've just watched part 1 of our interview with comedian Alvaro Gamboa. So come back, and when you do, bring a friend.